8 weeks after the tragic events of September the 11th, 2001, I travelled to New York City with my dad, who was running the New York Marathon. A young filmmaker, I followed my father around with my video camera. Britain had aligned itself with America, and the war on terror had been declared. We were already in Afghanistan.
Yeah, but we're going to
Are you going to come and see Joanne Dura, Dad?
Yeah, tonight. So we should stay down on Wall Street, I'm sure.
That's fine. Maybe should.
Why?
There's people there. Not being buried yet.
It would be 5 years before I would become aware of whispers of a conspiracy behind 9/11 on the internet, and a growing number of people calling themselves the 9/11 Truth Movement, who believe that the US government itself had a hand in the attacks. Initially dismissive, but then intrigued by this viewpoint, I decided to make a documentary about the 9/11 Truth Movement. My journey started in Ipswich in England. I was contacted by a group of activists from East Anglia and invited to film them talking to the public about 9/11.
What we've been told just isn't true. And the little pointers on there just agitate your thinking.
What do you think about all this then?
Well,
it's all, well, obviously we've read all about it, but going into detail is a bit different, isn't it? You know, to really know what did happen.
Yeah, I mean, they get you in an emotional state with what happened and then feed you what they want you to know. And anyone who questions anything different from the official story is a kook. And, but our points, and the points of scientists and physics professors, are very logical, what they have to say.
oh yeah, it's worth looking at. We'll have a look at that.
Thanks very much.
Study.
Bye-bye. Bye.
See what we can find out.
I'll just leave you with a couple of leaflets for your staff members. It's regarding September the 11th, 2001 being an inside job. We're just trying to get a new investigation done for the whole thing.
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
Thank you very much. Just for your staff members to consider, September the 11th, 2001 was an inside job, not carried out by Osama bin Laden. 4 planes in 2 hours flying about hijacked, clearly hijacked. Why weren't they intercepted? Standard operating procedure to intercept within minutes as soon as the plane is off course. A few more questions on there for you too, alright? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, an announcement. Osama bin Laden, that is, Osama bin Laden had nothing to do with September the 11th.
Excuse me, turn the cameras off now.
Have you ever questioned the official story?
No, I haven't.
4 planes in 2 hours not intercepted?
Yeah.
Have you ever questioned the official story of that September the 11th?
I do feel it's all very suspicious, but I really haven't, you know, been able to put my finger on it. The American government, I feel, are the biggest criminals in the world at the moment.
Yeah, that's what people find hard to believe.
Well, people don't want to believe it because it means everything around them is fake.
Yeah.
And they look at their world and they look and they think, well, how can I be living in a world where somebody like that is doing what they're doing? And they don't want to believe it because it makes them uncomfortable.
On that fateful day, you weren't meant to be in work. What happened at the start of it all?
Well, I called my supervisor, Anthony Saltalamacchia, to let him know that I was going to take the day off. And he went crazy. He said, no, you got to make it to work. You got to make it to work. You see, I was a person in charge of cleaning 110 floors of stairwells from the top down of the building. And nobody, if I took off from work, nobody wanted to do my routine, my job. And they went crazy every time that I took the day off. So he said, no, make it to work.
William Rodriguez is a former janitor who was in the North Tower of the World Trade Center on the day of 9/11. He has been honoured by the White House for re-entering the building with the master key to open doors for firefighters, and as a result saving many lives.
The whole complex.
What are your feelings towards the terrorists?
We don't know exactly what was happening on that day. You see, they gave us an official story that doesn't agree with many of the things that we went through on 9/11. And they have used 9/11 as a tool to criminalize and prosecute Islam in general. They have done that. And we don't agree with this policy. We don't agree with this agenda because we believe that politically our administration have taken advantage of 9/11 to further their wishes and goals for war and for invasion and for power grab that we never agree with.
At 8:46, we hear this boom, an explosion so loud and so powerful that pushed us upward in the air, an indication that it came from below us. Then we heard the big boom on the top of the building, bah, and an explosion.
Et à ce moment-là, on a entendu le grand boom en haut de l'immeuble et puis une explosion.
It was the plane hitting the top.
C'était donc l'avion qui avait frappé le haut.
There were two different events, an initial explosion on the basement.
Donc il y avait deux événements distincts, une explosion initiale dans le sous-sol,
and then the impact of the plane on the top of the building.
Et ensuite l'impact de l'avion en haut de l'immeuble.
And again, everybody screaming, and nobody knew what to do at that moment. A person comes running into the office saying, explosion, explosion. His hands extended. All the skin was pulled from under his armpits, all the way to the fingertips, and he was peeled off from his body. And when I looked at him, I realized that he was drenched in blood. And when I look at his face, everybody started screaming in horror because they saw part of his left side of the face hanging.
Where did he come from?
He came from the basement.
An interview made about me last year by ABC News.
Vous verrez une interview qu'a fait l'année dernière ABC News de moi,
where they tell my whole story about how, you know, the heroical effects on that day. But when I talk about the explosion, they cut. Automatically they go when I say, and there was an explosion, and they go and say, oh, what William Rodriguez heard was the plane hitting the tower. They put words in my mouth.
On the morning of 9/11, he was in the basement.
We hear boom, an explosion so loud that pushed us upwards on the air, and we started screaming. We didn't know what it was.
It was the first hijacked plane that hit the tower.
Boom! I knew that building with my eyes closed. So I could tell you very easily the difference of a sound coming from the top and a sound coming from the bottom.
I met with the devil, like I said. I was trained because they saw me as the political tool to get the Latino Hispanic vote. There's 30 million voters in the United States, and they say this is the guy that can get the votes. Once they wine you and dine you, basically you become part of the lie. Once I got the training, I started asking questions, and I asked for an official inquiry, and they said, no, don't do that, don't ask that, don't get involved with that. I noticed that they were putting obstacles, and then I realized that I was being manipulated, utilized as a photo opportunity for a political party just to get votes, and in reality they didn't care anything of what the victims needed, anything that have to do with the truth. Bush administration did not want an official investigation about what happened on 9/11, and they actually put every obstacle possible so we will not have an investigation.
When you do an inquiry, you have to check every possible allegation, and they did not. They spent more money on the Monica Lewinsky trial than they did at the loss of 3,000 people, and that's shameful.